Hey everyone. Welcome back to Black on the Platform Live, where we spotlight entrepreneurs, authors, and leaders who are moving the culture forward and making wellness, wealth, and wisdom more accessible to our communities. I'm your host, Jen S., founder of Black on the Platform, your go to directory and community for Black owned businesses. If it's your first time joining us, drop your name and where you're tapping in from. And to our returning viewers, welcome back. We're growing this beautiful community nationwide, and I love seeing where you're tuning in from. Today's guest is someone whose work reminds us that real success starts within. Dr. Alicia Watkins is a licensed clinical social worker, professor, and founder of Coaching with Dr. Alicia. She spent over 2 decades helping individuals and couples heal, grow, and lead with love, building a business rooted in healing, purpose, and cultural awareness. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Alicia. If you're excited for this one, please drop a heart emoji in the chat. All right. So, welcome, Dr. Alicia. We are so excited to have you on Black on the Platform. Take a moment to say hello to our viewing audience, and they've really been looking forward to your conversation today.
Hello, Jen. How you doing? So nice to see you again, live in person on virtual, but it's still this is really nice compared to when we see each other on Sunday nights. I can just see your name on the screen sometimes, so now I see your face. This is pretty cool.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and join you on the screen. Okay, there we go. So you can learn more and work with Dr. Alicia at coachingwithdralicia.com. And her listing is, of course, on blackontheplatform.com. And we'll drop that link in the description. So let's dive in. So, yes, it's exciting to be side by side instead of just on the chat in our in our book club or on YouTube on Mondays. So, you emphasize trauma-informed and culturally grounded care. What does that mean in practice, especially for couples and families in our community?
I feel like for Black people in particular, we carry with us, what is it, 12 generations of slavery? We have been more enslaved in this country than we have been free. And how could we not carry this trauma with us culturally, and how we pass down frightening instances from one generation to the next? Not only in our cultural patterns, but also in our DNA. There's science research is coming out with, what is it called? Epigenetics. Have y'all looked into this? It's really something. Epigenetics tells us that on a cellular level, we're passing down trauma. And I mean, I can get into it if you want to, but the beauty of that research is that your generation, if you were to heal your trauma, you can fix your DNA. So I just feel like culturally, what I'd love to do in terms of dealing with and healing from our trauma, it's not just relationally how we interact with each other with decency and compassion, but it's also fixing our DNA so that we can get back to original who we were before white people came and kidnapped us and brought us to America. Let's just face it. That
Mm-hmm.
separated us from who and what we are as a people. And I am thinking, and my quest is to try to get us back to where we were relationally, as well as physically, in altering who and what we are. And so that's my goal. And not only have I been doing this for my entire career, let's see, 30 some odd years I've been with this career, but I'm the second generation trauma healer, I like to call myself, because my parents were therapists. My dad was a social worker, and he did a lot of healing work, and my mom was a school counselor and a therapist herself. And so I grew up in a household with individuals who had advanced degrees in child development, who can understand what it looks like, how a child can be raised in an environment that honors and validates them. And then, therefore, I can go out into the world and honor and validate everybody that I come in contact with, because that's my frame of reference. That's my internal working model that is instilled inside of you when you're growing up. So, anyway, in a nutshell, that's how I see it culturally, about when we look at healing our trauma. It is something that, yeah, it's great for you in your relationships, but it's something that you are passing down to the next generation.
So, what are some of those unhealed wounds that often show up in relationships, and how can we start to identify and heal them?
Unhealed wounds. Well, a lot of it is trust. Um, I mean, think about when a child is growing up, they need to have an adult person who can, within reason, can respond to them. I mean, think about as infants, all the way up till the time you can have language. You need to have an adult or a primary caregiver, usually the mother, but not always, a primary caregiver who's responsive to your needs, because that says, oh, wait a minute, I'm crying and I don't know what's wrong with me because I don't have the language, I don't have the wherewithal to know what's wrong with me, but this beautiful lady here is responding to me. Wow, I didn't even know I needed my diaper changed. And I feel very uncomfortable. And this person fed me. This person gave me a bath and changed my diaper. Wow, every time I cry, that tells me that I'm going to feel better. So I don't have the language, but crying is how I am able to trust that somebody is going to come within reason and respond to me. So that is the primal foundation of how trust is developed. Now think about it. If you grew up in a home where, and I don't want to say mothers are terrible to their children, no. But if you grew up in a home where you had a busy mother who had multiple children, let's say, who, let me tell you, whether they're married or not, because there are a lot of married single women out there. And data shows, I like numbers, I like to research things, I like to look at studies. Studies are telling us that even married mothers do not have the support from their spouse that they feel like that they need, as well as single mothers. So it all depends on the type of support that that mother has, by the way. But if you have a mother who is working and doesn't have the time or the energy or the resources to respond to that child appropriately, there's some disruptions in that trust. And even if you have a mom who's in and out of the hospital for whatever reason, we don't want to blame mothers here, but for whatever reason, not able to respond appropriately, that's how you develop your sense of trust with the outside world. And how do you carry that forward into your current relationships as an adult? It's so hard, I'm fine, because I've been doing a lot of work with couples. It's been really difficult. Jeez. Um, First of all, you're in a relationship with somebody and you have needs that need to be met. And maybe you even know what those needs are. And you express it to your partner. I mean, that's vulnerable.
It is.
That's making you say, I need something and you have what I need and I'd like for you to fulfill my needs. That is such a vulnerable position to be in. And then you have to if you're brave enough to be able to express that need, and then you have to sit there and wait for that person to respond. And they could either say yes, they could say, no, I'm not going to do it. Or they can say, I'll have to think about it. And
And
no
it
matter what
depends.
it is.
And it
Yeah.
depends how you communicate it, because if women have a disproportionate amount of the cognitive load of maintaining the home, maintaining all of the scheduling, everything from groceries to housekeeping, and so there can be a tone of resentment in the communication. So it's not just communicating, it's our body language, how we're
Yeah.
expressing our communication, how are they going to take it? Go ahead.
You bring up such a great point, Jen, because data is telling us that how, believe it or not, how the wife communicates and brings up topics of disagreement or conflict, how the wife approaches the husband has a bigger influence on how well that conversation ends.
Mhm.
And here we are putting a lot of pressure on moms and women, but that's what the data is showing. If a woman is able to approach her partner um, in a way that's respectful, in a way that is
Intentional.
adult-like, in
Mhm.
control, intentional,
Mhm.
how the wife broaches the conversation of we need to talk about these issues, or there is something that I need from you that I'm not getting and I'd like for you to do this. Are you able to do this? How that conversation begins sets the tone for how the conversation ends. And that's what the Gottman Institute, who've been researching couples for 40 some odd years, that's what they've come to, that conclusion that, okay, maybe we need to work with how are we bringing up these issues, how the issue is even brought up makes a big impact on how that conversation ends. Is it going to be a conversation where at the end we're going to be closer together, or at the end we're just going to get frustrated and just storm out of the room, which happens a lot? That how you broach that conversation is so important. Yeah.
I agree. And I feel I've learned a lot from your book club on Sunday nights with David Rico's book on relationships. And you speak on, we talk about unconditional healthy, well, I say unconditional healthy love, where it's not unconditional to any behaviors. If there's domestic violence or drug abuse or any type of those things, I think there has to be a line, a boundary. But you often speak of intentional love. What does that look like day to day in healthy partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, unconditional love is, I get it. It happens when it comes to your children, people in your family. You can unconditionally love them. Even your partner, you can unconditionally love them. But that doesn't mean that you have to remain committed to that person.
Mm.
Okay? Commitment is what is more likely to be intentional. You have to decide every single day, I'm going to pour love into this relationship. It is my commitment to this marriage to be able to show up with positivity, to be able to be open and flexible and compromising about whatever issues are happening in the relationship at that point. It's just being intentional, and part of that is being accountable. It's being able to say, oh, now I understand why you were upset. I see now, I'm going to now adjust. And now that you've given me this story, and now I know what my behavior was, and and how it affected you, I think now I'm going to go forward and look at things differently and approach things differently. That does not mean being a different person. You can still remain who you are essentially, but then you have to know, be flexible and be influenced by something that you're doing that your partner may not enjoy, or that it could be triggering for your partner. You have to be able to look at that and say, okay, you know what? Considering the impact that that has on you, here's what I'm going to do different. And have that sort of dialogue. That is being committed to the marriage. Most people think commitment means I'm here, ain't I? I'm sitting on the couch every single day. I paid all the bills in the house. I got clothes on the back. Most people think that that's enough for commitment. And no, that's not. Just being there doesn't mean you're committed. It could be, or saying, I don't care what you do to me. You could be abusive to me. You could cheat on me. You can not have boundaries. You can do all these things. I'm going to be here. That's not commitment. Intentional commitment means you're committed to a healthy relationship.
So, commitment, intentionality, ha- it makes me think of boundaries and where do we draw those lines for ourselves. So, this question is not only for my viewing audience, but for myself as well. You are a
Yeah.
wife, a mother, an entrepreneur. How do you balance showing up fully in all those roles without losing yourself?
I don't balance it really well. It is just it's
You're
overwhelming. I
human.
mean, I'm a human person, but you know what? It goes back to that trust because I have to be able to trust other people because I have never ever said I could do it on my own. I am always asking for help. I need help. Even to, you don't understand, Jen, I am now, I've flown. I was on an airplane this morning. I flew to Atlanta. There's some things I need to take care of down here. And you don't understand what type of coordination it took for me to be able to leave my house because I have to be able to coordinate. I have to be able to say, hey, I have other responsibilities. I have other children. Hey, can you help in this way? Can you help in this way? I have to ask for help. We need a support system from people around us because I cannot do it on my own. I'm on the phone with my mama. I'm on the phone with my ex-husband. I'm on the phone with my son who's 20 something years old, like asking him for help. I ask boys for help all the time. I am not one of those moms who just feel like I can just do any and everything. I cannot. I cannot. And it is not, I'm not less of a mother for asking for help. I had to delete that from my head because it does take a village.
It
I
does.
just, all can't be on me. Yeah.
It does take a village. So I see a question in the chat from Natasha, and some other people have tapped into it. Natasha asks, are researches done on melanated couples and to their specific needs? And that was one of my questions that
Yeah.
I kind of skipped over based on what we were talking about. But I was curious, how does understanding cultural and generational trauma change the way we love and communicate? Because you
Let
kind of
me
touched
tell
on it.
you,
Yeah.
yeah, this is really good. There are a lot of writings on it, and I think what we have found is the stereotypes. What makes black couples unique is the fact that there are stereotypes of black men. There are stereotypes of black women. And what we're finding is that in black male female relationships, they are these stereotypes are internalized and weaponized in these relationships. I mean, that is the unique experiences of black people. So, for instance, if my husband, I don't know, if he forgets to, just forgets, he does a whole lot of stuff, right? If he just forgets and I respond to that and be like, that's why you can't trust no black man to be able to come through for you. If I were to say that, that would be devaluing him and not
Absolutely.
seeing him for who and what he is. And suppose I get upset about something. Suppose my husband says something and I get upset about it and I say, hey babe, I said, I have anger towards you because you said that and I hurt my feelings. Instead of seeing my humanity in that, you just some angry black woman. I'm like, wow, so you're seeing me through these stereotypes. You're not seeing Alicia. I'm not seeing Boyce for who and what he is as an individual. We're seeing each other in those stereotypes. It's not the fact that, yeah, society has stereotypes against black people, black men and women. The tragic part of it is how we internalize it and how we take this out on each other in relationships and on the internet. Let me say
Yes.
it there.
And you and Dr. Boyce are both sort of public figures.
Yeah.
And you're building a life and a legacy together. And so you have navigated this space really well. Do you have advice for couples who are building both life and legacy together? What can we
Wait
learn
a
from you
minute.
all?
Am I navigating really well? Time
Yes.
will tell. But you know, the internet's gonna be the internet. It is gonna let me just tell you how ridiculous things are on the internet. And I took okay, Willie D was in our wedding, okay? And there was a picture up of the three of us, and somebody measured how close I happened to be standing next to Willie D compared to how close I happened to be standing next to my husband.
Mm-hmm.
And they measured the distance, and they came to the conclusion that the distance between me and Willie D was closer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who took the picture. It just was a picture taken. You know,
Right.
things were happening really fast when we were getting married. And then the distance between me and my husband, someone measured it, and that was further away. So I was standing closer to Willie D than I was to my husband. I didn't know I was doing that. It was just a picture that we took together. Actually, I think I was going to take a picture with him, and then Boyce came up at the end. I don't know how it happened, but that picture went online. The internet concluded that I married Boyce with the sole purpose of getting with Willie D. And that is what the internet took. And that is what they went away with. I would talk to Willie D. I said, Willie D, what is going on? He said, I just took the picture because I just was so tired of people.
So when we talked the other day, that was what you were about to tell me when we were talking about these people on the internet. Okay, now I caught it.
Girl,
Okay.
it just be,
And I was on your live when you were talking about Stephen Curry's wife and how they were dragging her. And I watched the video and I was like, I'm with Dr. Alicia. These people are crazy. What is she? She, yes, I
they
get it.
concluded. They just took one little snippet of what they were saying. And this is the thing with projections. These stereotypes about women that they don't really, that they're out, that they're gold diggers, that they're out for this, the stereotypes of Black women, okay, are being thrown at us. And it's not even anything remotely close to what Aisha Curry has said. But again, it's not about Aisha Curry. It is about this projection
Absolutely.
that you have. And I'm going to tell you, I'm really, really concerned about these Black men being red pilled. The
Mm,
red pilled Black men. I feel like
speak on it.
we need to kidnap them, and we need to like shake out the red pill, because what is this? This red pill community is nothing but whiteness, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's whiteness, because
Mm-hmm.
this derogatory view about women need to be submissive. Hello, wait a minute. If I'm submissive to you as a trad wife, I didn't even know that was a thing. If I'm submissive to you as a trad wife, that means there's no boundaries. That means you can do whatever you want to do, and I have to love it. That means I have to love you unconditionally as a trad wife, traditional wife.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put boundaries on your behavior. I can't talk to you about how I feel and what's going on, that everything is catered toward this patriarchal view. That is completely toxic. And it is running rampant. And there's an article I've been wanting to do some talks on this about women are starting to complain and say, hey, at one point I had the most loving, beautiful husband, and now my husband and my significant other is now being indoctrinated in the red pill community. They're now
Mm-hmm.
taking on this manosphere that
Mm-hmm.
you can't. I mean, what is going on here?
Well, I'm glad you bring up relationships and self growth because you teach that healthy relationships begin with self awareness and personal standards. What's one simple practice people can start with to love more intentionally with themselves or their partner so that they can avoid some of these the push from our society and just tap into one another?
The answer is always mindfulness. Always.
Mm-hmm.
Always mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness every single day, sitting in silence with yourself, giving yourself love, humanity, acceptance. It starts there, because you're not going to be able to give that to anybody unless you can give that to yourself. Reflecting, thinking, having compassion to yourself. Having compassion, recognizing your feelings and your emotion, that is not feminine.
Hmm.
That is not just a woman thing. It might be feminine, but it's not just a woman thing, because you don't understand masculine and feminine energy resides in all of us, whether you are a man or a woman. It is not ascribed to one particular gender. It's an energy there, and you have to tap into that. That is the creative force in you. You create everything. Your mind, your mindset, how you view the world, how you view the opposite sex, how
Hmm.
you view relationships. That is the relationship that's going to come for you. That is the relationship you're going to become part of. So, I mean, I think that is so important, like being aware of your thoughts as they come up. Huh, I have this thought. I'm going to sit and contemplate, where did this thought come from? Because a lot of the thoughts that you have don't even come from you. It's been influenced. You've been
Hmm.
influenced by this.
Right.
There's no mystery about what a healthy relationship looks like. The mystery is, how is it that you can't get there? What is getting in the way? And it really is your perspective, because as within, so without. As you
Hmm.
believe to be true in your heart, that is the way it's going to be. And I've tested this. I've spent my entire life not only as a researcher running the numbers, but I've been my own scientist of my own mind. I have tested things to the point where I would just, I mean, just little things. I used to sit and eat dinner with my children, and we would just walk around and we would just be like, try to guess the number I'm thinking of. I'm going to send you my number. Guess what number it is. We used to do stuff like that. And what am I thinking about? And different things. You'd be surprised how many times we start building that muscle
Uh-huh.
where we were really able to guess. Well, you know what? You can build that muscle in yourself with mindfulness. You can program yourself, because advertisers know they can program you.
Right.
Commercials
So,
know they can program you.
so how does
Anyway.
mindfulness help us stay connected to ourselves and to our partner, especially in those challenging seasons where it's difficult to be compassionate because you're feeling some sort of way? How do you tap into that energy?
Well, instead of reacting to how you feel, become curious about how you feel and why you feel it. Tell a story about it to
Hmm.
yourself. And if you're in a relationship with somebody, tell it to your partner. You're only going to connect with them when you're able to lower your guard and be vulnerable. And being vulnerable means talking, telling your story. Hey, this happened to me. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of this. I was thinking about it. Instead of being reactive,
Right.
instead of being impulsive, instead
Hmm.
of just like lashing out and throwing things. And I mean, you just, oh my God, people would, you say something I don't like, I take my shoe off and I'm going to throw it at
Right.
you.
Right. But you
Yeah.
have given us homework in Sunday's book club often, and with that, you've asked us to journal. So,
Yeah.
is that a good practice that you would recommend for people to love more consciously to start journaling?
I think you should try it. Me personally, I have tried journaling every day. It doesn't necessarily work for me so much, but I set aside time in my life every maybe like 4 or 5 times a year where I specifically journal. Even like Q2, Q1 journal. Every couple of months I'll stop and reflect and just journal. I'm not an everyday journaler, but figure
Okay.
out who and what you are. But I
Okay.
definitely write things down. I make connections, and you'll be surprised. I go back and I read some of my journals, things that I've written in my journal. It's really profound. And I do a lot of it. Sometimes I will just come out of the matrix, so to speak, and I'll go and I'll do retreats. I'm
Hmm.
definitely starting to host a retreat. I'm going to be signing the contract, I think, tomorrow. Oh my God, yes.
Congratulations. Yay.
It's frightening.
Well,
it's frightening, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
You're doing
And
healing
just journal.
work. You are amazing, and you built a powerful career in education and community impact. What inspired you to bring your academic insight into coaching and wellness?
Um, my husband did. Just be honest with you.
Go on,
Boyce is
Dr.
like, you
Boyce.
should do that. You should do this. And I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. You should do that. He kept coming up with suggestions. I was like, nope, I'm not doing any of it. That is crazy that I said that. But I sure enough said it. I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. Come on, come on. Let's talk about this topic. I was like, nope, I don't want to talk about that topic with you.
That doesn't even sound like you.
It's crazy. But now I just like gave up. I was like, okay, boys, whenever you want me to come and talk about any topic, I will talk about any topic. I will do my best.
But
And
you were
he'll
in the
tell me if I
mental
ain't doing it right.
you've been in the mental health space even before Dr. Boyce. And so
Yeah.
you are leading within this space as a Black woman. And so,
Yeah.
like, how do you stay grounded in that work besides Dr. Boyce?
Yeah. You know what? But I was only in academia.
Okay.
I had gotten, it always had been a dream of mine to be able to um, work abroad. And so I got a Fulbright scholarship. And in 2000, they granted to me in 2016. And then, was it? Yeah, 2017, I went to, and I lived in Guyana, South America, because English speaking, because if it was Spanish speaking, we'd be in a big leap of trouble because I can't speak Spanish. But we went to South America, and my family and I, we moved there for 5 months. Always been a dream of mine to have that experience. And with that experience, it was really bond. Actually, first of all, it was a bonding moment between myself and Boyce because that was when we first started dating. Seriously, I never really saw him in that way. I always saw like the friendship Boyce. Then the romantic Boyce came out, and I was like, "Who is this? Who is this?" I was like, "What? I didn't know this was you. Is this
I
you?"
love
You
it.
know. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. I never saw this side of you, you know. I always saw the friendship side of Boyce. So anyway, that's when that romantic side came out, and I just fell for him, you know. But that's the kind of thing work that I had always dreamed of doing. And never in my wildest dreams would I ever think that I would be where I am. Like where I am right now, if you had asked me 10 years ago, hey, Alicia, in 10 years, you're going to be sitting here talking to Jen online, on going live on YouTube, I just would have been like, get the fuck out of here. I would have been like, no way at all.
Not me.
You know, like, no.
Yeah, I think it surprises me. And somebody put a comment in the chat that it's good to Terry said it is good to come out of your comfort zone. And I think
Yeah,
it's been through that coming out of my comfort zone every step of the way. I wasn't ready to be on YouTube live. I wasn't ready to start my business. I wasn't ready to do any of those things. But I think what we have in common, and we have a lot in common, you and I,
we
is
do.
that we do, right? Is that it's from the heart. The work that
Yeah.
you're doing is rooted in healing, cultural awareness, and love. And you're putting that into your entrepreneurship in a way that's authentic. And I've always complimented you because I come to all your book clubs, I'm on all your YouTube lives. I'm a huge fan and supporter of your work. And it's because you're so genuine and authentic. And I appreciate that because it's hard to want to be vulnerable when you know people want to drag you and measure the distance between you and somebody else.
They
I
do.
mean, get out of here.
It's so
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Yeah,
So
you gotta have people keep you grounded. Of course, my mom, I always call my mom, what do you think? She's like, girl, my mom keeps me grounded. Of course, Boyce is very authentic too. He is really authentic, by the way. He is
yeah.
very authentic. And I just go with it. I just like to go with wherever Boyce goes, I just go with it. And I ask him for advice all the time. Like, let me tell you what I really love about him. Even if we don't agree on topics, and we don't agree on a lot of topics, he never tries to silence me.
That's beautiful.
He never, if anything, he's like, okay, that's your perspective. I don't agree with you, but here's what you need to do to get your perspective across. So he even, not only does he takes himself out of it, and he's able to say, this is what you need to do. And it's funny, I don't know if people understand that that's what's happening in the background. I guess people
Mhm.
think like in the background, we just don't get along, but that's not true. Like he's just like, I don't agree with you, but here's what you need to do to promote your voice. And that's why I really like he opens up his platform. He's like, you can get on any platform you want, and I really like that because he's like, people need to hear the diverse perspectives and all of those things. And so, I mean, that's the part that I'm starting to learn, like, God, that takes a lot. Cause I'm gonna tell you, I don't know if I would do all of that. That's like true
Trust.
selflessness is what
Yeah.
he demonstrates. So it's very inspiring.
And I don't know, like he is very transparent about how he feels about you and his love for you, but also his respect for your own person. And he said it when we were dealing with who was going to be elected for president. He was like, I don't understand why husbands and wives can't just agree to disagree. He said, my wife could vote for Mickey Mouse if she wanted to, and I would still support her. And so that's a
That's true.
huge thing.
I'm gonna tell you now, I don't know. I'm kind of like, boys, please pay attention to what's going on here because I think like our current president is just a lunatic. And I was telling him, it was funny because I was telling him, I said, boys, I said, this relationship between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, it is going to crash and burn. It is
Mhm.
going to crash. And I told him this privately. No, it won't. They care about the money. I'm like, it is going to crash and burn. Let me tell you why. He's like, you don't know them. I said, I know human behavior. And I said, this is not going to work. And I said, let me predict to you what is going to happen. And he was just like, okay, give you a prediction. And he was like, okay, Alicia, you were right. So it is hard because he is a little bit more conservative than I am. I am ultra liberal. I'm like progressive,
You are.
liberal. I don't care. And he's just like, Alicia, we're making all this money. I'm like, I don't care about that. I care about everybody else. If I see homeless people on the street, what am I supposed to do? I do care about them. I'm not going to step over them while I go in to my 5-star hotel. No, I care about it. It's who and what I am. So, and he's like, wow, I really like that about you. And so we just laugh about it because he knows where I come from. And I think in a way he kind of admires it. And I guess I admire him too because he's such a hard worker and nothing was handed to him. He's had to actually create things out of absolutely nothing. And me and my mom, we tease him. We're like, Boyce he's the magic. We just call him Magical Boyce because he makes everything just come alive. And it's because he's smart and intelligent and sees the world in such very unique ways.
But
I
you
have
are both
never seen
so
anyone like
evenly yoked. You're both
him.
smart and intelligent. You may be liberal and he may be conservative, but the way that you complement each other and love each other is such a wonderful example for us, especially in the
Yeah,
B1 family who get to hear the in, we love hearing the
we,
wonderful
we,
things. I don't know if
we
he
have
sent
fun with
you
each other.
the picture I took of you two on book club. I caught a picture, and if he didn't send it to you, I'm gonna send it to you. You were looking
Oh,
back at him, and he was over your shoulder looking at you, and it was like a fairy tale princess moment. And I took picture. I'm gonna send it to
yeah.
you. It was
Send it to
beautiful.
me.
Yes, I will. It was beautiful.
I
And I
get
know,
giddy
I
when
know
he comes
we've
when he's around.
I'm looking at the comments, and thank you to all of the people who are um, it, praising me for stepping out of my comfort zone into this space.
Girl, yes.
It's not easy.
Girl,
It
it's
is
tough. It ain't
no,
easy. I know.
but yeah, I do okay. So I want to add in the chat a way to reach you because I know that you offer couples coaching. You have coaching with Dr. Alicia. If you guys miss our book club and you want to get recordings, you can also get recordings from Dr. Alicia. Um, oh, Andrea's making a joke, keeping up with the Watkins. So I'm always trying to keep up with the Watkins instead of keeping up with the Joneses. Every time Dr. Boyce buys a stock, I get one share. I may not get 100 like he does, but I'll get one share. And so I try my best to keep up with the Watkins, but all in jest. I really appreciate the example that you two set. Um, I know that there's, always challenges, but I was curious um, about how you sustain a positive lens through trials and tribulations, not just in your relationship, but in your profession as a mom. How do you continue to keep a positive outlook?
I'm gonna tell you what has experience as a good teacher. Um, I have one child home now. I am so sad about that. And I know I told you I happened to drive by their elementary school and I cried like a
You
baby.
said
I
that.
never go that way anymore, but I don't know, I was going and I had to drive by their elementary. And I just remember when they were just little and their backpack was bigger than them. And now they're gone. Like two of my children are out of the house. One is 22, one is 18. And now I have my 15-year-old who I feel like is leaving any moment now. And that in and of itself has kept me positive because I have got to cherish. I look at her like this now when she talks. I am like, she's like, Mom, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I miss you.
Oh,
I mean, so that is it. Experience is a good teacher. I have been in relationships where I have been miserable. I have been in relationships with people where I just was like, I do not love this person, you know? And now I absolutely, Boyce is not perfect. Oh my God, no. Neither am I. But I absolutely love him. And I
that's
just look at
beautiful.
him and I just be like, I would be looking at Boyce sleeping and I'll be like, oh, I so love him so much. I think the biggest thing is just really appreciating what I have. And even if, oh my gosh, like my daughter, it'd be tough times, or I'd be a voice rants or whatever, and I'm just like, oh Lord Jesus. Even in those moments, I just like, there's no other place I'd rather be. There's no other mom I'd rather be a mom to. And so I've just learned to be really appreciative of my life. That keeps me positive because let me tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. I have been at some hard times. I am grateful for the fact that I have a job. My job has been laying people off. And guess what? I wasn't laid off.
Amen.
So I
Right.
am happy for that. Like little things, I am not going to complain at all. And, I know there's ups and downs, but whatever it is, I'm able to go with it because that keeps me positive. I try to think about what life has been like for me and how far I've come. I am what, over 50 at this point? Hello. I had to try to look back on, I've been at some very difficult tables. I
So
have
it
been
sounds
told
like gratitude and appreciation for where you have
gratitude
come
and
from and where
appreciation,
you're at now. I love that.
girl.
So I know there are people who want to be able to connect with you and support you
Yes.
with coaching with Dr. Alicia. So I'm going to share my screen. I tried to do this with my last guest and the screen was itty bitty. So I'm going to see if I can do it correctly this time. I'm excited. Okay, woo, I did it. So you can't see it, Dr. Alicia, but I have your Black on the Platform listing and I
Yeah.
recently added to it a little video. So if they want to get a taste of what you're offering with your coaching with Dr. Alicia, it's on there. The one Learn to Have a Healthy Relationship. There's
Oh,
also on here your email, your website. They have your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all on the platform as well. So you can go there. You can also go to um, directly to her Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And so I did it correctly. I'm so proud of myself. See what I'm saying? I'm growing even though I'm not perfect. This is it. So, okay, let me go back. All right. So, woo. I'm just like this has been such a rich conversation. I personally feel inspired. If you feel inspired in the viewing audience, put some flowers in the chat for our special guest, Dr. Alicia. And I think it's so interesting because coming from academics myself,
oh,
I've been in education for 25 plus years. And we say Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia, but both of you are Dr. Watkins.
we
What do
are
your students call you? Do they call you Dr. Watkins?
at my university. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do call me that. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
think it's so interesting how we decide that we're gonna just, I hope one day I could be Dr. J or Dr. Jen, because I
Oh
think that's so
yeah.
cool, right?
Oh yes. You got it.
So before we wrap for today, do you have any closing words for our viewing audience?
I really think for the viewing audience, I like the whole thing about commitment and your question about intentional. You know, I have at this age, I guess I'm half a century old. I have seen love come and go. I have seen people come and go. And you only live once. Why not just love like you won't wake up tomorrow?
Yep,
Like
there's no
it's not
tomorrow.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
Just like love completely. Just let go of the fear. Let go of the fear.
Mhm.
And even if you love somebody really hard and they don't appreciate it, then at least you know and you can move on. And it's okay, But at
Right.
least it wasn't like you can be regretful. Like go in 100%. Give
And
your all.
it sounds to me like that's what Dr. Boyce is doing with you. Because I remember in one of your
Yeah.
in your Sundays, you were like, he said I could do nothing wrong. And I'm all for that. I feel like that's beautiful, unconditional. No, really, when I think of like unconditional love, or you know what I think of Lionel Richie's endless love. Like I just
Yeah.
want, that is beautiful. And I feel very privileged for my husband to be my best friend, to be
Yes.
my biggest supporter, to see in me things I don't see in myself, like Dr. Boyce did with you, where he was like, can see this for you. And you're like, really? I feel grateful. And I think that as women who are loved and adored, we need to continue to ripple effect that love outward, right? That's why you can't step
Come
over that
on.
person, because it's all about humanity. It's all about giving, loving. Like you said, like there's no tomorrow. And I
Yeah.
think that is such wise words. If y'all ain't taking notes, I'm ashamed. Okay? Cuz I love this. I'm looking in the chat for any more questions that I may have missed. They said this conversation is engaging. Thank you both so much. Wise advice. They love that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm truly inspired, and I just want to thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom with us today. And again, to our audience, if you'd like to connect and learn more about her work, visit coachingwithdralicia.com and make sure you're following her on Instagram, IG at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And of course, you can find her listed on Black on the platform under the category mental health. You can
All
also
right.
Yeah, you can also just type in Alicia or Dr. Alicia and it'll pop up. I will drop it in the chat one more time and put it across the screen so people who are viewing can see. And I encourage you guys to join our Sunday night book club where she drops gems. We are wrapping up Dr. Rico's book. I always forget the title. It's something about relationships.
How to be adults in relationships. Boy, that white boy is giving our science back to us. How about
Right?
that?
And how about it? I always say there's no books on how to be a mom or how to be a wife or how to be an adult, but there is, y'all. Dr. David Rico wrote one, okay? So join Dr. Alicia on Sunday. I join her and I learned so much. And then she
And
has
it's
Monday
free.
nights and it's free. And
Yep.
YouTube on Mondays, also at 6:15 PST. She's dropping gems. And so, yes, thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and do my closing screen as I say goodbye to our audience. And